Hello, welcome to Purpose Amplified. I am your host, Anh Nguyen. I'm super excited to have my guest, Loida Casares, here today. Just a really quick, brief history of why I wanted to start this live stream. If you've caught the last couple, you may already know. But I've long held on to the belief that we are all here for a purpose. And we may spend a lot of our lives trying to find what that big purpose is. But I'm happy to use this platform and my voice to feature a lot of folks that I know personally and those I've just discovered who are using their talents, their skills, their experience for a big purpose. And that's why I'm so excited to have Lloyda here today as a guest. Just a little history. Lloyda and I are former colleagues at the Houston Chronicle. And one of the best things that came from my time at the Houston Chronicle were the friendships and the relationships that we made. And we're still all connected to each other, right, Lloyda?
Absolutely.
In some way, shape, or form, whether it's on Facebook or we get to see each other in person, IRL, as the kids like to say. So I would like to ask you to share a little bit about yourself, just a brief bio, and then let's get started with our conversation.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be actually one of your early guests. I guess it's what you'll be able to say years from now. I'll be able to say I was one of the first few. And I love what you're doing. And I really believe in having a passion. And, I'm passionate about my job. Obviously, I've been doing it for 30 years. I've been selling advertising for a really long time. I started in college at the University of Houston, the Daily Cougar, go Cougs.
Go
And
to.
so, go Cougs. So I started off really early in my career. Little did I imagine that I was going to be selling advertising for this long. But definitely, it is a passion. And I do feel like I help people, I help customers to, make to sell as well, to sell their wares or whatever it is that they are trying to promote. So that has been my life passion. It's what has supported me. I love that I am part of putting out a newspaper every day. And it's kind of funny because it kind of goes hand in hand with reading and literacy. Knowing that that every day people still pick up their newspaper either on their sidewalk or down at the corner store or turn on their computer now and read the news, and knowing that I had a little part of that, is really satisfying to me. But one day I heard about little libraries in laundromats being done in another city, and that just intrigued me. And so after 30 years of selling advertising, I started this passion project. And I'm also a writer, as you had in the bio. I have written some things. I have a novel on Kindle Vella on Amazon, which is a really cool platform that Amazon has now, where you can self-publish in a serial format.
Oh, nice. And what is that
Yes,
platform called again?
it's called Kindle Vella.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's on Amazon. Anybody can do it, and you can read books by authors, which is really cool. You get so many tokens for free at the beginning, and you can read so many of the stories are free, and then you can pay with tokens to continue. So it's really funny. This novel that I had been sitting on my computer for literally 20 years, and I never did anything with it. My kids would always harass me about it. When are you going to do something with it? And I just didn't have that confidence to put it out into the world because it was written over a number of years. And when I found out about Kindle Vella, and I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I put it out, and I started just publishing it chapter by chapter out there. It was hilarious when I started making royalties. I was,
So
I
it's like
actually,
a little, it's
it
like a
wasn't about,
telenovela, but not tele. It's a novella. It's like the book,
right.
right?
Yes, exactly. Like
Awesome.
exactly like novella. So it was hilarious because I thought, this book's just been sitting on my computer, and it's not about the money at all. It was really about taking a leap of faith and doing something. And not, and yes, it may be critiqued. It's not the best writing. I don't pretend to be the best Maya Angelou, or so, but it was they were my words, and I put them out there.
Yeah, but it's your passion, as you said, and you're doing it. So you don't have to be perfect. You're doing it and you're perfecting your craft as you go along, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no, and it's about being vulnerable, like Brene Brown says.
Hmm.
And sometimes you just you have to put yourself out there. Are you the man in the arena or not?
Exactly. And yeah, I love that. I love that you have always followed your passions because as I mentioned, Lloyd and I are friends from the Chronicle and we're connected on social media, so I see her post and content all the time, and you definitely follow your heart and your passion, and that is absolutely inspirational and admirable because as you mentioned Brene Brown, right? There's so many people who look up to Brene, and but are they actually living those words? And I think you're living those words.
Thank you. That is a big compliment. Sometimes I do feel like I'm scared and feeling too vulnerable, but yeah, that was probably the most vulnerable thing I've done so far is putting the
Well, we're all
book out
scared.
there.
We're all scared.
I,
It's whether we move forward, we take those steps to move forward or not.
but you've done so much too, going out on your own and then now doing this. And I love that, this is your passion because you love seeing what people are doing and what are they passionate about. So I admire that.
Thank you so much. Yes, I absolutely do. I love seeing what folks are doing and connecting them with the resources or the people that they need. And so this show has been kind of an idea in the back of my head for a while, and kind of like you, I was like, what the heck? Let's just do it, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just do it and have the right people, the right organizations, and not necessarily the right, but just people who need that little extra spotlight. So let's get started and talk about little libraries in laundromats. Say that 5 times fast.
It's a great tongue twister.
It totally is. And just a little side note, how funny and how apropos, right? Like when we were setting up for this live stream, share with the audience what your lighting is on and your laptop and all that is on.
Well, first of all, my ring light decided to give out this morning because we all have those wonderful technical,
Yes.
challenges.
Is our friend.
So yeah, so I was getting ready to put the ring light in front of me, and it was not. It just kept blinking at me and then just went out. So we have a box of my books that one of my colleagues gave me in front of me with a stack of books and a lamp.
How
A
very
homemade.
apropos.
That's exactly. Ann and I were laughing because I said, "Oh, of course, it's books. It's got a box of books, a stack of books, and then my laptop is on a book."
Oh my gosh. Well, welcome to anyone who's tuning in. And if you're catching this on the replay, also please feel free to drop in a comment or a question. So again, let's get started and give us a little bit of history of why you wanted to found and start little libraries in laundromats.
So, like I mentioned earlier, it was something that I heard about. Actually, I worked in public radio for a year, and I learned a term called driveway moments. That's when you're driving and you're listening to a story on the radio, and you get to your destination and you can't get out of your car because you need to finish hearing the story. So, I heard about the city of Milwaukee setting up little libraries inside of laundromats, inside of, or what we call here in Texas, washaterias. And I was just, intrigued with this idea. And I remember getting off the car and going inside and Googling right away, did we have anything like this in Houston? And what was interesting to me was that it was a city initiative. So it would be as if the city of Houston decided to do this and set up little libraries inside of all these washaterias around Houston. Basically, that's what Milwaukee did. They set up these little libraries with children's books. I'm sure, I don't remember the details if they had adult books as well. But when I Googled this for Houston, I found that there is a woman, at the time at least, there was a woman in Kingwood who has a little free library inside of her laundromat that she owns. So that was the only story. It was actually a Houston Chronicle story. And I thought, well, this isn't really a thing. What if I started this? So kind of played with the idea of how I was going to do it. I already had a little free library. I was what you call a little free library steward for a little free library at my house. So I live on a corner lot. And I have an old Houston Chronicle news rack is actually a little library. So you can open the little door, and instead of newspapers, you see a row of books. And so I thought, well, I already own, I already have a little free library out on my sidewalk. Why not just follow that same idea? But I also wanted to make sure that, legally it was okay. So I reached out to Little Free Library, the organization, which I cannot say enough great things about that organization. They are so, the mission is just to get books out there. They don't care how we do it. As long as we have these little libraries. I wanted to know, did it have to be a container? Did it have to be one of those cute little houses you see on the street? Or like in my case, a newspaper rack. So I reached out to them and I told them my idea, and I told them I just wanted to do something really basic, like a bookcase, to make it accessible, easy for kids to get to, easy to replace if something happened. Even at the time, I didn't know how many times you have to replace bookcases in laundromats. So I told them my idea, and they were 100% supportive of the idea. They said, yes, absolutely. As long as it has a Little Free Library charter sign, you can put it on our worldwide map. It counts, as a Little Free Library. So I loved that I was partnering with a brand that was already out there, established, and that they were being that supportive. So that is how the idea was born. And I started with 4. There are 4 laundromats around my house. Actually, one of them right now is kind of under construction. They're under new ownership, so I don't have a little library in there right now. But I started with these original 4 right around my house. Make it easy for myself, right? And
right.
I worked full time. I had 2 children. They still both lived at home at the time. It was November of 2019, right before the pandemic.
Right before the world changed for us.
Exactly. It's when I think back, I'm just like, things are just meant to be. So I started with these 4. I had friends right away that were so supportive. One of our former colleagues, Juanita, sent me some money and said, here's some money for what you're doing. And I bought my first bookcase with the money that Juanita gave me.
That is so awesome.
I went on Amazon and I bought a bookcase. Since then, I've had friends donate bookcases, lacrosse parents that were downsizing. We have a really great sturdy bookcase. The librarian at the Houston's First Baptist School donated a bookcase and books, lots of books.
Yeah.
And I just had this outpouring of support from the community. They just loved what I was doing. They loved the idea. And that's how it started. With 4 little libraries, I now have 7. 6 active. One, like I said, we're working on. I haven't been able to make contact with the new owner, unfortunately. But I have 6 active little libraries. 3 of the active ones are right around my house in the near north side and the Lindell Park area, which is a little neighborhood off of 610 and Irvington, between 45 and the Hardy Toll Road. It's just a little nugget of a neighborhood. So I have 3 here. And then I expanded and I started 3 in the East Extension area, which is an underserved community. And I have 3 all 3 of them are like really close together between Cross Timbers and Jensen and 59.
Yeah. So why laundromats?
Because I had this memory of a time when we didn't have a washer when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And having to go to the laundromat as a kid with my parents or with my mother or my sister. And during that time, the clothes was washing before they got me to help fold clothes.
Yeah.
You have this period of time where I would just be like, give me quarters so I can play these, pinball machine back then. This pinball machine, or then when it was Pac-Man. But I just remember being a little bit bored if I didn't take a book. If I took a book with me, I was good. Because I've always been a lifelong reader, I would read. And I just, I have that memory, and I know that so many parents take children with them to the laundromat to get them to help. Or sometimes the kids are just in there, especially if they're really young.
Or if they don't have childcare at home or someone to watch
exactly.
the kids, they need to bring the kids with them to the laundromat.
Yes, exactly. And it usually goes hand in hand. Someone that doesn't have a washer and a dryer at home usually doesn't have access to childcare either. And they're just trying to, they're trying to just live, their life and their best life. And they
Yeah.
have their kids with them. And so I decided to start with children's books and young adult books. That is my main focus, but I do add some adult books in there for the parents, which, I think is also great because I've had parents ask me, do you have any bilingual books? Do you have
Uh-huh.
any parents that are trying to learn English?
Oh,
And
that's
bilingual books,
wow.
are in English and in Spanish a lot of times.
Yeah. No,
And so,
I didn't even think of that, right? I was just thinking the books for the kids and to help them hopefully nurture that passion for reading.
yep, that is the main focus. But if parents want to read books, I mean, a parent who reads is showing a child to read, is what I
Oh,
believe.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
wow. And, I really admire what you're doing, and when you and I know I've said that, but when you said, "Oh, I told my friends about it," and Juanita said, Here's some money, to donate towards your cause." Absolutely, because when I first found out about you founding this and creating this movement, I was like, "Wow, this is a really great idea," because you're right, we're privileged, right, that we have a washing machine and a dryer in our own homes, but there are so many families who do not, and so they have to go to the laundromats, to the washaterias, and oftentimes these families are in underserved communities, and oftentimes the children don't have easy access to books or easy access to get to a library, perhaps even to then borrow the books or check the books out. And so I think this is a great way to introduce kids to that passion, of for reading and helping their parents make it accessible to their children as well. And I know you mentioned that you wanted this to become a movement, and not just a cause or an organization here in Houston. So share with us a little bit about your vision for a movement and how we can help as a community.
No, absolutely. And you know what? One other thing I just wanted to mention real quick. We
Yeah.
just went over the fact that I started it right before pandemic, and a little
Hmm.
bit of what you were just saying right now, how that sometimes the only place children can get books is school, because
Yeah.
maybe their parents can't buy them books, or maybe they can't take them to the library because they work. And so when this happened in November, I continued to refill the books through the pandemic, because I thought, these kids aren't in school, they're not getting their books. And I really saw a lot of books flying off the shelves during that time. And I had some naysayers at the beginning tell me, oh, unfortunately people are going to take books. And I said, no, that's exactly what
You
I
hope
want.
you will,
these,
right?
these are gently used books
Yeah.
that people have donated. They're getting a second life, or sometimes a third life.
Mhm.
And that's fine. If a child is going to take a book home to read and keep it, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So that was just something I wanted to mention, that I'm so glad that during the pandemic, I was able to continue to provide these books, and my son and his friends were my volunteers. They were at DeBakey High School at the time, and they were able to help. And right now, my best friend's son, Joseph, who's also he's a junior, senior. I'm like forgetting how old. Sorry,
I know
um,
these kids are all growing up and we don't. Yeah, we're still
I
thinking.
know, I know. Exactly. Then he's a junior. He'll be a senior next year at DeBakey High School. And he is my newest volunteer. And he's helping me refill the libraries. And he has also seen how Vicky messaged me Sunday. They went out to refill the libraries. And
Mhm.
she said that he was really touched. He walked into a library and a little girl walked up to him and asked him for she wanted one of the books. And
Mhm.
he saw like what this is
He
all
saw the
about.
impact of what he was doing. He saw how it, affected the community
Yes.
and those others. That's amazing. I mean, what a gosh, what a great experience to have, to actually see what your efforts are accomplishing.
Yeah, and if I and we said a movement. So I have another friend, Ovidio, whose son, I forget what middle school he's at. It might be Lanier, but he is now starting some little free libraries in the Garden Oaks, Oak Forest area.
So
And so
awesome.
it's a spinoff. And so I don't own this idea. I don't want to own this idea. I don't want to say, no, Little Libraries and Laundromats is mine. It's
Of
not
course.
about that at all. And so I do have instructions on my website at Little Libraries in Laundromats.org, how to start a library. And I sent that, to a video for his son to do. And he is starting these little libraries as part of a volunteer project that he's working on.
Oh,
But
wow.
I know he's going to find it just as rewarding as I am. So I don't have all the details on it, but it's funny. Our Steve Higgins, our mutual friend,
Yeah,
saw it on their Facebook page for the community and told me someone's doing little libraries. And I said, yes, that's my friend's son.
that's so
Um,
awesome.
yeah. And I had someone reach out to me in Katy, and I've never followed up with him to see if he actually did it, but he wanted to set one up in the Katy area as well. And as you know, I work for the Houston Chronicle, which is a Hearst newspaper,
Yeah.
and I'm a Hearst Gives Back champion, which is our philanthropic efforts, what we do as a company to give back to the community. And last year, well, a couple of years ago, Hearst started a service award. So last year, I was a winner of the community. I was a community champion winner.
Congratulations.
I thank you so much for founding Little Libraries and Laundromats. So I got a little award and everything, and it was just, it was very rewarding to me that they acknowledged it. But even more so when I've been on these meetings with other Hearst Gives Back champions, I had a colleague from San Francisco tell
Mhm.
me she wants to start a little library
Oh,
in her
amazing.
neighborhood in San Francisco.
See, you're inspiring people outside of Houston, inside of Houston, outside of Houston already. And this is exactly what you wanted, right? This is how you wanted
Exactly.
to start this movement.
Yes.
And I love the fact that you're like, it's not just mine, it's the communities to own, and you have instructions for how people can start it. And I've dropped your I'll put it in the comments too, but the website address is up on the screen right now, littlelibrariesandlaundromats.org. Speaking of .org, I think you are currently wrapping up the process to become a certified 501c3, right?
Wrapping up is maybe a little ambitious.
Starting the process.
Starting the process would be more specific. So yes, so my friend who is an attorney is also one of her passions is she's actually a chef now, former attorney turned chef,
Oh,
but
that's crazy! Oh my
I,
gosh, so cool.
that's an amazing story because she was a practicing attorney for many years and in Georgia,
Uh-huh.
and then she moved back to Texas and decided to go to culinary school, and is an owner of a franchise called Chefs for Seniors, where they go in and cook for seniors.
Okay.
um yeah, that's a whole other story. That's
Oh
a
yeah, I
great
need to meet your friend then. That's
Yes, Chefs
definitely
for Seniors. It's amazing. So, but she still can practice law, and so she helps nonprofits because that's part of her passion. It's like, who can I help? So she and I, she has sent me her retainer fees and what the process is going to be, but she knows about setting up nonprofits and all the things that you,
yeah.
because there's just so much when you work full time and you have kids. Even though my kids are college age now, it's still a lot. I mean, they just came
Yeah.
home for the summer, so having someone help me and hold my hand through the process is, so important. And I'm so happy and very fortunate that I have someone like her to help me out. But I do want to make it a 501, not because, I want to make it this great big organization. I mean, if it did become a great big organization, of course I'd love that. But like I've said, this is something that belongs to the people. And I want for people to take it on and work, do it in their city or in their community. But it's really looking into the future. Do I want to apply for grants? Are there things that I want to do? So it just makes me a little bit more legit, if I am
Oh,
a nonprofit.
absolutely. No, and I agree with you on that, especially if you're seeking grants and corporate sponsorship. They you need to have that 501c3, and good luck on that process. I wish you
Thank you.
the best on it because I've helped a couple through it, and it's a lengthy process. But
Yes,
I think
it
you'll
looks like it is.
get
That's why I have Shauna helping me. But
exactly.
and also, I would be remiss to not mention that I did not do this all alone. As you heard, it was a community, it was
Yeah.
friends, but it was my children too.
Yes.
So if it weren't for my kids as well helping me, my daughter putting bookshelves together for me, the ones, that we bought that we had to put together. She's very handy with the drill. And actually going and setting up the bookcases and adding the little libraries and laundromat charter sign to the bookcases, because those are on there. The kids, my daughter helped me set everything up and has helped me with designing my business card and so many other things.
Awesome. They're very involved with you. Shout
They
out
are.
to Miranda and Seth Ruiz for, helping you. And they're
I'm
your
so proud of
co-founders. Yeah.
Right.
Your co-founders for this movement.
No, absolutely. And Seth, I call Seth my volunteer coordinator because he coordinated his friends to help during that school year that they were going out and they were refilling the libraries.
That's awesome. So Claudia Sanchez, who is a friend of mine and who's with Unite Us, and I'll mention them in a minute here. She wanted to share a comment. This is such an amazing initiative. I grew up loving reading books, and my books were from garage sales, and we used to go to laundromats all the times. And she would have loved seeing a library at the laundromat. Thanks for tuning in, Claudia, and thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
No, it's I loved reading as a child, and I'm so glad that you are offering this opportunity. You and the community who supports you and the community who is behind this movement are making it available and accessible for kids because, as you know, reading helps them to do better in school. And hopefully that will, trickle down to better opportunities, better career opportunities, especially for kids who are in underserved communities. And so it's a ripple effect, right? It's not just
Absolutely.
it's not just having these books to be able to read. And absolutely take the books. they are gently used, gently loved books, and they are there to be shared with everyone. So if someone were interested in starting this in their own community, in their own area in Houston, how would they go about doing so? Going to your website, contacting you? What's the best way to do this?
Well, and some people like doing things on their own, which I completely understand. If they need help and guidance, I will gladly, help in whichever way that I can help. The easiest thing to do, you'd be surprised, is just go in and talk to the manager or the owner of the laundromat and tell them your idea and let them know what you want to do and what you're setting up. And I have gotten more yeses than I've gotten no's. I have received some no's. I have had some learning opportunities along the way. I call them opportunities because, there were things that I didn't know, like how much love some of these bookcases get. And they have to be replaced. So, learning that it has to be a really good, sturdy bookcase. Yeah. So important. And, but I really do spell out the whole process. Talk to a laundromat owner. Do you already have books? Do you need somebody to, donate books? Do a call out on Facebook. I mean, that's all you have to do, and you'll receive so many books.
Oh my gosh.
I have more books than I can handle right now.
Oh, I offered to do a book collection thing for you, and you're like, I don't need any. I have so many.
Yes. It's like part of me at first wants to say yes. And then right at that time, I think that you were asking me, I got so many books. I had a friend who was a teacher up north, drove down from like northern Texas, like a small town like near Abilene or somewhere around there, drove down in her car full of boxes of books.
Oh my gosh.
To donate to me. One of the Joy Joyner was a former teacher who passed away. She was a retired teacher. I think I told you that story. She had a room full of books. Oh, so many books. And my friend, Mary Valle Cooper, shout out to Mary Valle Cooper. She runs an art school in Pearland. And she she saw something, posted somewhere, went out to see this room full of books and got books for me. I mean, these are my friends that are just doing these things for me. I told the children of the, adult children of the lady why she was getting these books. Yeah. And they were so touched that their mother's books were going to go back out into the world.
Yeah. Her legacy, yes, her legacy was going to be able to help.
And children. Her name is in all the books. I love it.
So cool. That'd be great if there was a way to track those books, right, and kind of how and where they went. But I'm sure that she is looking upon this wherever she is in the afterlife, and happy that her books are and her legacy are being used for this purpose. And I'm sure you have many, many great stories just like that, right? Where people are just inspired to donate, but also inspired when they see what happens when they've donated these books. And I absolutely love your movement, and I'm so glad that we were able to have you on today and feature it. And as you mentioned, right now you've got an overabundance of books, but perhaps in the future you'll be at a point where you'll need additional books. So I think you have a page on LinkedIn, Little Libraries and Laundromats. So I encourage everyone to go follow Lloyda's page on LinkedIn and stay up to date with what LLL is doing, and Lloyda, it's kind of alliterative. Lloyda's Little Libraries and Laundromats is doing. And when you have a need for things such as new bookcases, as they are so loved in the laundromats, and new, additional books. And so I encourage everyone to do so. And then, of course, please definitely go to her. Let me see. Let me pull up your website again. I don't know what I did with it. There we go. This is what I get for trying to be my own producer. Yeah, I did something to your website. It's littlelibrariesandlaundromats.org. I've posted it sometimes, but we'll also share it in the comments as well after the show. And for anyone who's catching the replay, if you have any interest or need to reach out to Lloyda, definitely, I think there's a contact form on your website, or are they able to reach out?
I have my email address. I don't remember my phone numbers on there. I looked at it in a while, but definitely have a Gmail, which is super easy. Loida Casares at Gmail. Very easy.
Yeah.
So awesome. Yeah, there is a contact page on there. And so definitely reach out with any questions that you might have. At a point here, I've had so many books that I even, like with Ovidio's son, I said, if he needs a box of books, I can get him started. So if you need a box of books to get started, I will gladly give you a box of books.
Oh, absolutely. And you probably need a storage facility by now.
Well, I'm actually in the process. I'm going to be doing an inventory of how many books I'm at right now. And then I'll be able to let you know if we want to do a book drive. So my kids are in college and my son is home for the summer, but I told them I am converting his bedroom because he's on the first floor with me. I'm converting part of his bedroom into my book room because I was going to do it upstairs, but I was like, I'm not going to be going up and down these stairs. I have an old with books.
Leg up.
Yes. And I was like, he's not here 9 months of the year, so I'm going to just basically set up bookcases all around half of his room, and then I can have them all displayed instead of in bins, which is they're in bins and boxes right now. Yeah. I want to be able to see them and see what I'm pulling out because I like doing a mix.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And keep an inventory, as you mentioned.
Exactly. Keep an inventory. How many children's, how many young adult, and how many adult? Because I do have a lot of adult. I unfortunately have had a lot of people give me adult books, and I'm trying to be polite now and say, please, no adult books. I have too many adult books. Yeah. And I really like to concentrate on children and young adult.
Of course, yes, because that's, not while the adult books are needed. I think the main purpose is to help children and young adults and teens and who are going through, elementary through high school have access to the books. I know you mentioned need for volunteers previously. Do you need some volunteers to help you with inventorying, or I know it's in your own home, so that may not be.
Yeah. No, right now I'm good because the kids are home for college.
Oh, there you go. Miranda and Seth. Those are your
Miranda, who was my technical assistant before this, who set up the books and the lamp. But also, and Seth is giving up part of his bedroom for the books. Right now I'm good. And I have the volunteer as well right now. So Joseph is helping me volunteer. But, when Joseph is done volunteering there, I can't have like a ton of volunteers, but if kids need volunteer hours for Honor Society or for some high schools, like DeBakey High School, they need to have volunteer hours. Yeah. That is something that I can entertain as well. But just know that I can't have a bunch because it's only, 6 libraries right now.
Yeah.
And right now they're being covered pretty well by Joseph.
Oh, that's awesome. So there you go, folks. You heard it. If you have any high school students who are in need of volunteer hours, definitely reach out to Loida on via her website, or we'll also put the link for her LinkedIn profile and connect with her here on LinkedIn. Loida, thank you again for being on today. I think I kind of was like, hey, I need to switch you to May instead of whenever we were originally going to have you on. So I absolutely appreciate your flexibility, and I can't wait to see this movement of yours continue to grow and thrive. And you're a powerhouse, and I know it's going to continue to be successful. And it's such a great mission because it truly comes from your heart, being a writer yourself and knowing that love of the written word and books, and you want to impart that on to generations to come. And you know that's very, very admirable.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And, I appreciate the support of the whole community. Friends like you and Juanita Lira that I mentioned earlier, and so many friends who are always giving me books. I really appreciate the help that I've gotten.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you're catching the replay, as I mentioned, please feel free to drop in a comment or a question. Definitely, I encourage everyone to visit Little Libraries and Laundromats.org, see what's going on, follow them on LinkedIn, and also connect with Lloyda if you have any questions, or if you would like to start a little library or little libraries, plural, in your own community or area here in Houston, or really kind of anywhere in the world, right? This could
Absolutely.
be possibly a global movement, and I'm here for it. I would love to see that happen. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you again, Loida. We'll see you next time on
Thank you
Purpose.
for having me.
Absolutely.